We start high in the Lammermuir Hills on the Great North Road. Atop the high mountain pass of Sutra, a little distance off the road, is Sutra Isle. This was once one of the largest and most northerly hospitals in the British Isles. Dating from the 12th century, it was run by Augustinian monks and funded from the vast local hospital estates of some 20 square miles. Nothing of it remains today, as the isle is a family burial vault built with the stone from the hospital and dates from 1686. The view, however, is regarded by many as the finest in southern Scotland, and over 60 major Highland peaks are visible. A wind farm adjoins this medieval site, a series of vast sculptures along the skyline. A few miles on and we arrive at Lauder. Lauder has a long history. It was first granted a royal charter by William the Lion in the late 12th or early 13th century. The royal court of James III encamped here in 1482, whilst the English army was besieging Berwick, and some of the nobles met at the old kirk to plan the execution of a few of the king's advisers. But they needed someone to take the initiative. As one noble later described, the meeting was like a group of mice trying to decide which of their number would put a bell round the neck of a cat. The Earl of Angus volunteered, and the unfortunate courtiers were hanged from Lauder Brig in full view of the distressed king. Despite this, Berwick fell to the English and has remained in England ever since. The town was made a royal borough 20 years later in 1502. The present Lauder Kirk was built in 1673 by the architect Sir William Bruce, who was also working at nearby Thirlestane Castle at that time. Bruce remodelled Holyrood Palace and is discussed in further detail on the East of Scotland and Perth and Kinross titles. Lauder is thought to be one of the best examples of pre-Victorian domestic architecture, unspoilt by the excesses of that period. A little out of Lauder is the turn-off for Thirlestane Castle. This was rebuilt by the Duke of Lauderdale, who went into exile in Holland with Charles II. He was taken prisoner at the Battle of Worcester and imprisoned in the Tower of London under the death sentence. He was saved by the Restoration and went on to become the virtual ruler of Scotland. A story is told that a tenant farmer's wife, Maggie Hardy, who was unable to pay the rent due to the very bad winter, pleaded with Lauderdale, fearing eviction. He agreed to waive the rent if she could return in June with a snowball as evidence of the weather. The day in June duly arrived, as did Maggie, who handed the Duke a snowball. She had packed a crevice full of snow during the long winter and covered it from the sun. Whilst the Duke was prisoner at the Tower, Maggie visited the laird dressed as a boy, with a cake she had baked in which she had hidden gold sovereigns. So determined was she to repay the rent and his kindness. This was the original home of the Maitlands, who moved to Lauder Fort in about 1595 and renamed it Thirlestane Castle. The remains of the original Thirlestane Tower and an earlier Iron Age fort are a short distance away.